After learning last week that it was Agatha all along, what will this week's episode have in store for us? Will it explain it all, or at least a large portion? Or will it even negate last week's big reveal, leading us into a different direction yet again? After proudly saying "called it" last week, I had to learn that I celebrated too early. Damn, this show got twists and turns, and we didn't expect it anything less from the get-go. Hi there, it's Micha. Let's review all the things I got wrong last week. Okay, as mentioned, I was way off last week. But at least my predictions that there will be no more sitcom elements and fake commercials turned out to be true. And that we will keep having mid-credits sequences. However, I also sat down with my sister and we really dove into the magical color scheme this weekend and compared them to the colors of the Infinity Stones. I'm looking forward to share our findings with you. So without further ado, here we go. This week's plot in a nutshell. After Agatha Harkness revealed herself to Wanda, we learned that she was just attracted to the hex, while indeed Wanda created it. Holding the twins hostage, Agatha forces Wanda to walk her through the key moments of her life that led up to the incident. We then witness her parents' death, the Hydra experiment with the Infinity Stone, the aftermath of Pietro's death and the moment she started to fall in love with Vision, and her realization that Vision is really dead. Her painful cry of despair as she stands on the empty lot in Westview that Vision bought for the two of them to build a home to grow old in, lets it all out. Her powers create the house, the bubble, and Vision, all out of nothing. This, according to Agatha, should be impossible, and a being capable of it only exists in myth. A myth she calls a Scarlet Witch. The mid-credit sequence shows us director Haywood using a bit of Wanda's energy to reanimate the body of Vision, who is now white instead of red. Let's start there. Whatever you might have thought of Haywood, he is a liar, telling everyone Wanda stole Vision's body, which was never true, making him an asshole at the least, or a villain at large. Is he just a pencil pusher trying to get a weapon to protect Earth? Or has he an evil agenda? I am leaning towards the latter due to his methods. Maybe he is even working with Agatha, towards a common goal, serving the same master? Well, it is possible, but I don't think Agatha is serving anyone else except herself. And I'm still not convinced that she is the bad guy the producers are trying to make us believe. First off, it was not her who created the whole mess, as I thought and exclaimed last week. It was Wanda, with Agatha being attracted to the afterglow of so many spells cast at once. Like a moth to the light, being curious who did that and why, and more important, how. It is obviously something that she can't do herself, so Wanda is the more powerful witch. At the same moment, Agatha is shocked that this powerful witch isn't even aware that she is a witch, and doesn't know the basics, like the protection spell and runes she uses in her cellar, and her mind not being readable for Wanda and Billy.
Magic's no good here.
And she seems to be a little pissed about that, as she explains how magic works. That there are basic tricks like mind control of lesser creatures and transmutation, which take years to master on a convincing level, while Wanda is able to put magic on autopilot, as Agatha calls it, controlling thousands of individuals, covering an area as large as the town. In the comics, Agatha seems to do some stuff that looks shady at first glance, but in the end turns out to be the right thing, to help the people she engages with. And if you are interested, Marvel has posted a nice breakdown of her comic history. I will include the link in my video description. So Agatha might try to understand how Wanda is doing it, but she might also be interested in finding out if she is a danger that needs to be contained. All she did was trying to reach Wanda, get her out of her trance, to investigate her. She could have done that in a more direct way, which suggested she doesn't mean her harm, if not needed. Maybe due to Wanda's lack of basic knowledge, Agatha really turns out to be her future mentor. She actually turned out to be a very sensitive guide to Wanda on her journey, tuning down her snide remarks more and more. Watching Agatha closely, you can even see her wiping away a tear while she was out of Wanda's sight, so apparently an honest reaction, not meant sarcastically. This implies her nature as being good, or maybe in the process of turning good soon. But I think she already is in the right headspace. We are just meant to think otherwise. She actually looks like a therapist, walking her patient through their trauma. And I know there is this whole affair with Agatha killing her mother in Coven. But 3 things were apparent here. 1. Though Agatha knew she is powerful, she was obviously not expecting to be stronger than them all combined, so she didn't go in with the intent of killing them all. 2. We don't know what she was punished for, what stealing knowledge above your age and station really means. She is blamed for using the darkest of magic, but insists that she can be good. But no one is willing to allow her to prove this. She says she didn't break any rules, just bent them. That she can't control it and needs guidance, which they denied. Maybe she is not that different from Wanda. Maybe Agatha was also feared to become a Scarlet Witch, so they acted preemptively.
Please, I can be good.
No, you cannot.
Could even be that the Coven was evil and what they called darkest of magic is just against their internal rules. Here I do believe the former though. I think that this darkest of magic is exactly what Wanda is able to do, what Agatha calls spontaneous creation or chaos magic. Might be that Agatha wanted to reanimate a loved one as she dabbled in that dark craft. Good intentions, but still a thing not accepted by her kind. Which would just make her human? And 3. Whatever happened in Salem, it happened in 1693, giving Agatha over 300 years to become who she is now. And as the Transmutation exhibition showed, her killing Sparky might literally have just been her killing a fly or a cicada, which even the world's biggest animal lovers may be able to forgive her. My take on Agatha is that she is putting Wanda on trial for similar crimes she has committed herself, but allowing her to actually show herself and what led to it, more than Agatha's mother and Coven ever granted her. As the show ends with Agatha telling Wanda that she doesn't know how dangerous she is, again looks like a threat, but may end up being just a statement, and she will help her understanding her powers. The twins she has on leashes, maybe just to contain them until she understands what exactly they are, as they are also spontaneous creations, maybe turning out evil, potentially. However, I still think that Agatha came from another reality, from the place where the Fox X-Men exist, explaining why Agatha created her brother, being her eyes and ears, in the image of the Quicksilver she knows. And I'm curious if they elaborate on the term crystalline possession Agatha used to describe him. If Agatha was lured in by Wanda's magical bonfire, maybe she even crossed dimensions to reach it. That would be my ideal outcome here. Let's have a quick look at Wanda's journey. I really loved how they choose to just show us moments we haven't seen before, while skipping the ones we know so we learn more about her without it feeling repetitive. First stop was her childhood, where we meet her loving parents and find out that the root for her love of sitcoms is that her father would bring them home on DVD for TV night, selling them later to make a living. Their death, and Pietro and Wanda waiting next to a Stark Industry bomb, waiting for it to go off for 2 days, left a mark on her. We also learn that it is very likely that Wanda already was a baby witch, as Agatha called her. At that point, unconsciously using a probability hex to disarm the bomb. Second stop, the Hydra experiments, where we see that even as the yellow Mind Stone is hidden in the blue scepter, Wanda is seeing the real deal. This is what amplified her untapped natural magic to the level we know from the movies. Wanda had the vision of a person floating in, looking like dressed in her Halloween costume. This might just be a metaphor for her Scarlet Witch powers arriving, but in that previous episode she called that outfit a Sarkovian fortune teller. Maybe there is still a story worth telling. Third stop takes place after her brother dies, a scene we still remember well. Back in the US, this is where she felt lost and empty. That is before Vision came in, bringing back her smile and being a new anchor for her. It also had a nice further explanation for the comedy show trope. As Wanda says, in this kind of show, no one gets hurt. so she chose this as her reality backdrop to keep Vision as safe as possible, for obvious reasons. This leads to the fourth stop, after Wanda came back to life after the blip. She patiently, or as patient as can be hoped from a superpowered witch, comes to see Vision's body that Hayward shows to her while it is in the process of being cut to pieces, provoking her with sentiments like, "Vision is a machine and doesn't belong to you but to the state," likely hoping she would straight out resurrect the body there and then. But in a callback to Infinity Wars, where Vision tells her right before she destroys the Mind Stone that she can never hurt him because he only feels her, she touches his head saying,
I can't feel you.
and just leaves. Instead, in Westview, she lets it all out, as no one can keep her away from the darkness within anymore. Her parents, dead. Brother, dead. Vision, dead. Emptiness. Complete loneliness, resulting in chaos magic creating Vision seemingly from scratch. So finally we know it was Wanda and it was not conscious. At least some part of my theory was right. But did you notice that when Vision is recreated, it is yellow light coming out of Wanda, not her usual reddish energy? Looking like Vision being released from her body. What if back when she had to kill him, she took in his essence and conserved it? Even as Thanos turned back time, he didn't rewind her, making her look. So Vision's spirit could have remained within her, waiting to be released, which happened in the bubble. But the body is missing, so he can't leave the hex without it. With the Vision's real body being resurrected outside, likely without or with suppressed memories and emotions, presumably about to get sent in to fight Wanda, while his spirit, essence or whatever you want to call it, is alive inside the bubble, we will most likely see them both merge to create the real Vision again, unlocking the suppressed memories in his body. Now let's look at the promised color theory. Hope I can explain it properly and I hope it still makes kind of sense. Let's assume all magical power, maybe even other superpowers in general, but for now only concentrating on magical abilities, always have their origin in the Infinity Stones. For theory's sake, let's think physical contact with the stones or a concentrated blast of their energy. Ultimately, their energy is always moving around space, just being focused by the stones, like a nexus, which was mentioned last week. So it might even be explained by genetical predisposition to one of the stones. Or mutation. Or something like that. But again, for now, think direct contact or concentrated exposure. Most witches seem to have their magic manifest in blue, like Agatha's coven. Same, by the way, goes for Billy. Maybe this is the standard for witches, or result of a ritual to create power. Whatever the creatives of Marvel imagine. Blue is the space stone, allowing to exist in any location and move, warp and rearrange space and objects, among other things. That sounds pretty much like transmutation, standard witch gimmick, right? Agatha's magic is purple, which suggests the Power Stone as origin. It allows manipulation of all forms of energy and powers, including enhancing physical strength and superhuman abilities, which feels like the thing Agatha did to the Coven, manipulating their power against them while boosting it. The grimoire in Agatha's basement emits orange energy, suggesting the Soul Stone, which allows to control and manipulate living and dead souls, and just animate the motionless. She mentions necromancy as a simple task, so maybe it is the soul part she is after, as reanimating corpses and bringing back people with their whole being intact are two different pair of shoes. Maybe the thing that made Agatha go against her coven to begin with, and something that Wanda seems to be able to do. Now look at Wanda. Her power shows in red. Red symbolizes the Reality Stone, the ability to fulfill wishes even contradicting physical laws, which sounds exactly like the stuff Wanda is able to do. Let's assume she already had that power when she stopped the bomb as a child, like Agatha suggested. Wishing for the bomb not to go off could clearly be attributed to the red Reality Stone. We also know that Wanda got a boost from the Mind Stone during the Hydra experiments, which is the yellow stone formerly residing in Vision's forehead. The Mind Stone enhances mental and psionic abilities and allows accessing the thoughts and dreams of other beings, Also classic Wanda. So she has yellow and red powers, which adds up to orange, by the way. Same as Agatha's grimoire, the power needed for reanimation and maybe even allowing spontaneous creation. Maybe Wanda can harness red and yellow without a problem, while orange lays dormant. Only activated under extreme circumstances, like losing everything. Having 3 powers in her at once makes her already half as powerful as Thanos' snap. Not just Thanos himself, mind you, but his superpowered snap. So chaos energy may be this, a hybrid of several power sources. Likely this specific combination because, by the way, if you combine orange and red, you get scarlet, which may or may not be a coincidence. This all could end up being complete bullshit, but at least it was fun to research with my sister. By now I don't even expect any theory to be spot on anymore, but I'm sure that the colors serve a deeper purpose. Let's see how close we got to the truth. So let's have a quick look at what the internet got in store for us. The only interesting thing that spoke to me was the validation that Vision's body that Sword reanimated with a bit of energy from the original source, as both got their power from the Mind Stone, is called White Vision in the comics, and is a complete emotionless version without any memory. Speculations are that this version will keep going while the Vision Wanda loves will perish. That would suck so hard after all the emotion that was put into it. I hope my combining the two thought will turn out to be true instead. So much for the internet. Let's look at the rating. As expected, the episode rocked, and with a whooping 44 minutes was also the longest so far, and explained the most. Based on the amount of tears I shed over the runtime, I should hand out a full score, but you cannot measure a show just on that. As I couldn't make out any flaws though, and I swore not to be too stingy anymore, reserving the highest note only for reference sake, I have to be fair and give this one 9.5 out of 10 points. How did you like this one? What do you think will happen in the end? Let me know in the comments. That's it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, like it and feel free to share it with your friends. And why not subscribe to my channel so you won't miss any future video. Make sure to also hit the notification bell to get a heads up whenever a new video is posted. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching!